Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Hashem, Shai, Hashem, Harakah, Kodash. Uh, Double honors unto the elder apostles of Great Millstone and all well. Shalom to the whole full elect. This is by Allah. And this is Esther 8 and 1. On that day did King Ahasuerus give the house of Haman, the Jews' enemy, unto Esther the queen. And Mordecai came before the king, for Esther had told what he was unto her. And the king took off his ring, which he had taken from Haman, and gave it unto Mordecai. And Esther set Mordecai over the house of Haman. All right, so this is basically the revealing of, well, more revelation as far as to Esther, in that Mordecai, the man that saved the king's life, is actually not only um, you know a great man in the sense that he saved the king, but also that he's a relative to the queen. All right, and showed great humility in that he didn't come before the king for nothing, having saved his life, having Esther be a near kindred unto him. But really, in everything they done was worked out to the king's favor. Really, Esther being his wife, uh, and even having someone like Mordecai there onto him. But even with this being said, the point of the ring, right, which really, I'll touch on it a little later because it expounds upon it, but it speaks to, how great an honor it is to have that ring, right, to bear that ring. Verse 3, and Esther spake yet again before the king and fell down at his feet and besought him with tears to put away the mischief of Haman the Agagite and his device that he had devised against the Jews. Then the king held out his golden scepter toward Esther. So Esther arose and stood before the king and said, if it please the king, and if he have found favor in it, if I have found favor in his sight, and the thing seem right before the king, and I be pleasing in his eyes, let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman the son of Hamad, Hamed, Ha, Hamedaphar, Hamedaphar, the Agagite, which he wrote to destroy the Jews, which are in all the king's provinces. For how can I endure to see the evil that shall come unto my people? Or how can I endure to see the destruction of my kindred? All right. Then King Ahasuerus said unto Esther the queen, and to Mordecai the Jew, behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and him they have hanged upon the gallows, because he laid his hand upon the Jews. Right? So this is the king showing how much favor he has showed towards the Jews, right? The Israelites, the kingdom of Judah. Right? Verse 8, write ye also for the Jews as it liketh you in the king's name, and seal it with the king's ring. Right? For the writing which is written in the king's name and sealed with the king's ring may no man reverse. All right. So let's attack it from this point. Um, the first point being basically Romans, where Paul spoke about, I believe it's Romans 13, where it speaks upon the rule not being a terror unto good works, all right, and basically honoring those that rule. The Heavenly Father basically put them in the position of power, all right, and this really just shows you when you go out throughout all the accounts within the history, the writings within the Bible, when you deal with all our forefathers that were, so, yes, when we're taken captive, we'll put into, a, a into submission, all right, enslaved and humiliated. But once, quote unquote, we got over that hump, all right, the Heavenly Father, we find some form of favor, or throughout the course of the captivity, maybe from the onset, we find some favor, all right, with Daniel, um, being one of the key examples that come to mind. But you always have someone within, you tend to find you usually have Israelites or people put in position to aid those that are in favor of the Heavenly Father. And this captivity is no different, because you can see inside with something being put in place by the decree of Haman, all right, it can't be reversed, but it works even better in that the Heavenly Father, um, you know, switch, change the hands of the person that can rule the decree. Now, with that being said, speaking to the point I mentioned, about Mordecai having a ring, that's a very big deal, right? Because the king, King Ahasuerus basically it leveled it off by saying, look, if anyone's attentive within his kingdom, they can see that Haman was hung in the gallows, and the house of Haman was given unto Haman, all right, and that's because he basically laid his hand upon the Jews. Mm. So basically, showing you that there's a great not affirmation, a great affection from the king towards the Jews. And now, in the fact that Mordecai has the king's ring, signet ring, which basically he can write anything into law, right, as long as it doesn't go against something that was formally written, and he can sign off on it. So that bearing that ring is it's like the genie in the bottle having the ability to just cast any, I don't want to say a spell, but basically anything you say basically gets put forth into law, and people have to act upon it. That's a great level of power, all right? And no man can reverse what's said, all right? And you can see to the level of favor that the king Asserus is basically shown onto uh all of the Jews, in that even with this decree to kill them, he basically saying, I can't reverse it. So that's how much regard and respect he has unto it. So for Mordecai to bear that ring, that says a whole lot. All right, verse 9. Then were the king's scribes called at that time in the third month, that is the month Sivan, on the 3 and 20th day thereof. And it was written according to all that Mordecai commanded unto the Jews, and to the lieutenants, and the deputies, and the rulers of the provinces, which are from India unto Ethiopia, 127 provinces, unto every province according to the writing thereof, and unto every people after their language, and to the Jews according to their writing, and according to their language. And he wrote in the king Ahasuerus' name, and sealed it with the king's ring, and sent letters by posts on horseback, and riders on mules, camels, and young dromedaries, wherein the king granted the Jews which were in every city to gather themselves together, and to stand for their life, to destroy, to slay, and to cause to perish all the power of the people and the province that would assault them, both little ones and women, and to take the spoil of them for a prey. Now this is likened unto, the movie. I'm sure the movie Purge basically got its likeness, its idea from this event that fell upon our forefathers. Because basically, this really just shows the power of the Heavenly Father. Exodus 15 tells you the Most High is God of war. Yahweh is His name. All right, and then you have an account in the Book of Judges, whereby you had our forefathers or Israelites that forgot the ways of the forefathers, how they came into the land of Israel by way of warfare, and said that because they don't know war, he's gonna basically put them into, I believe, captivity or war. I can't remember it verbatim, but that shows you the Heavenly Father wants you to have an edge. All right, He needs you to keep His edge. If you're gonna be the children of the Most High Power, the God of War, then you need to be, acclimated with warfare. So this really just shows you the Most High, man. All right, He created a whole situation whereby there's a day appointed where mass genocide will be committed on His people, and that law couldn't be rebutted after it being found to be, um, unfavorable to the rulers of that kingdom. But yet, what was found, what they sought to do is basically set a law in place where, in order for them not to die, they have to basically set pace. Let everyone know you ain't just gonna you ain't gonna what am I thinking? You ain't just gonna get up in there and kill us all and everything. It's not gonna go how you think it will. All right, if you try. All right. So reading on uh both little ones, women, and to take the spoil of them for prey. So basically, it was given a decree that they could kill anybody that tried to mess with them. All right, from little, from young little kids that heard it and thought, yeah, I can kill someone, to women, men, and men and children. All right, and to take the spoil of them for prey, and even on top of that, anyone that attempts to do that, they basically can take all their possessions after them. Upon one day in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus, namely upon the 30th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar. And mind you, and this really shows you why it was all the spirit in that. Haman cast a lot upon the day of it being done, and even I was prideful. I mean, not prideful, but I mean, it's a spirit. I'll just keep it as simple as that. It was a spirit because this man ain't even alive to see that day no more. But there's other, you know, moves that need to be put in place. Mind you, it's like 9 months, 8 months away when they're speaking upon this. So the Israelites had impromptu more than enough time to basically make themselves ready to the battle, and the people had more than enough time to basically be aware of if you mess with them, it could get sticky. All right, a copy of the writing for a commandment. The copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, and that the Jews should be ready against the day to avenge themselves on their enemies. So the posts that rode upon mules and camels went out, being hastened and pressed on by the king's commandment. And the decree was given at Shushan the palace, and Mordecai went out from the presence of the king in royal apparel of blue and white, and with a great crown of gold and with a garment of fine linen and purple. And the city of Shushan rejoiced and was glad. The Jews had light and gladness and joy and honor. And in every province and in every city, whithersoever the king's commandment of his decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a good day. And many of the people of the land became Jews, for the fear of the Jews fell upon them. Right. So this shows how great of a favor, all right, that the Heavenly Father put them in that case, in that many people wanted to become Jews because of the favor that they had. All right. So this is another time, another event in history where you had people adopt our customs, all right, and following after the Heavenly Father's power. Um, for the fear of the Jews fell upon them because they were fearful of the Israelites. All right. Like I said, having that signet ring and bearing that much power with a man that delivered Heavenly Father, delivered the king at that time from death, and then his queen, being a Jew as well, all right, that he was prepared to give half up to half your kingdom onto her, really shows you how much favor the Heavenly Father put us in that case, all right, and yeah. So with that, man, I'll bring you edifying to the next one. Say shalom, shalom.